Being gay and polyamorous across multiple households basically just means you never know where any of your clothes are. I really hope y'all have a group chat where you can literally just ask questions like this. Like, also, it might be important for like other planning. I know some people have like a Google Calendar or something, or a shared calendar, but having a group chat just so you can be like, hey, listen, guys, I'm looking for this red sweater. Bonus points if you have a selfie of you wearing it. And just be like, where is it? I need it this weekend. Would be really helpful, because not knowing where your clothes are might be a very annoying part of polyamory. Hello baby queers, and welcome back to my channel. Today it's time for some polyamory memes and some polyamory TikTok, because doing more than one thing seems entirely fair. But you know the deal, before we continue, y'all gotta get hydrated. So grab some water or some tea, whatever else you like to drink. And in the meantime, also feel free to like and subscribe, and then we'll continue. Are you hydrated? Good. Let's go. Being explained that polyamory is just an excuse for men to sleep with a lot of women. Me, with no men in my polycule. What are you talking about right now? Because let me tell you something. A, men don't need to be polyamorous to sleep with multiple people. If you want to do it ethically, then yes, you kind of do need to be in an open relationship or be polyamorous and have your partners be aware of that. But you know, you don't technically need it. It just kind of makes you an asshole, because then you're a cheater. You know, but this whole thing is brought up way too much of, oh no, your boyfriend pressured you into this, right? It's because he wanted it, right? Because he wanted to sleep with multiple people. It's not because you want to share your love in multiple ways, probably. No, it must be because he pressured you into it, because he wanted to sleep with several women. Sure. Yeah, keep believing that, I guess. When someone who is in their third marriage tells you you need to be monogamous to have a stable relationship. I guess it didn't work though, because you keep failing. But it's always people like that who want to preach like the sanctity of marriage to any kind of queer people, really. Like, they're also the same people who watch like dating shows like Married on First Sight or something. I don't know what these shows are called, I've never watched them, but like kind of who support that and who think it's funny, and then who also get divorced after 2 months because they recognize it didn't work, which, fair, you know, I'm really not coming for divorce. But if you're on your third marriage, you can't really preach monogamy that much, actually. When you decide to stop falling in love with monogamous people, but the next polyamorous person you fall for is polysaturated. Dude, here's where I'm at. Feelings are stupid. I mean, you did listen to yourself. The end result, kind of the same. You just took a different route there, really. I can see how frustrating this would be. But you took a different route because, I don't know, I think it's kind of different. Because then I think you can still like be friends with this person, right? Because you still like connect with this person, and you still kind of maybe want to spend some time with this person. Maybe doing it like on a friendship kind of level, or kind of just like not that intense of a relationship, to just kind of see each other very rarely, or not keep in contact that much, but still kind of be in each other's lives a little bit. It seems like it would be like more possible to do that with a polysaturated person, you know, than a monogamous person, because then it's like, oh no, I don't want to date you, and then they're mostly just done with you. Because people aren't great at being friends with someone that rejected them, really. Love is between two people. A relationship must lead to marriage after X years. Having sex with your friends is always a bad idea. This is all garbage that I have no real use for. The thing is, it's not even believable, because sure, getting married after a certain amount of years might work. It might also work if someone gets married after 2 months of knowing each other. It might work if they get married after 10 years. But No human relationship between any two people is the same. And instead of trying to force all relationships between literally everyone into like neat categories, just letting things happen organically and just like not applying that pressure of, oh no, but we have to start dating now, and we have to like have sex on the third date, and then we have to get engaged after 2 years and get married after like 6 more months. Like, it's stupid. I don't even know what the general rules are that people like want, the timelines people want, because I feel like it kind of varies from generation to generation as well. But listen, why? There is no recipe that works. It just depends on you and your relationship style and how you vibe with this other person. Like, literally, why are people trying to say one thing has to work for all people? That never made sense to me. Calling my lover mine, but not in the way that my toothbrush or notebook are mine. Mine in the way that my neighborhood is mine, and also everyone else's. Mine, like mine to tend to, mine to care for, mine to love. Mine, not like possession, but devotion. Generally, I feel like this is very polyamorous coded, but it could also apply because I never got, like, a lot of people seem to think it's like cute or sexy when someone's possessive, but I never understood that. Really. You know, so yeah, kind of mine as in I want to love and cherish this person, and I want to take care of this person, and I want to spend time with this, like, or spend my life with this person, you know? But not like mine, and I have to get married even if we end up hating each other because it stopped working at some point, but neither of us is willing to admit that because then it means we failed. Versus just, again, taking things organically. Really. Partner 1 gets a funny story. Partner 2 gets the same funny story. Okay, but why do I feel like polyamory works really well for people who love telling the same stories over and over again? Because, you know, if you keep telling the same story to the same person over and over again, they're probably gonna get annoyed by it at some point. Like, even if they have ADHD and keep forgetting that you already told it, then you might get away with it. But after a while, they'll like catch on and actually notice you've told them the story like 10 times and they'll get bored. But if you tell like 2 or 3 different people the same story like 2 or 3 times, then it's like fine, and it's still funny and cute and quirky, right? So if you love telling the same stories over and over, you might want to consider polyamory. Just joking, but if this happens to be you and you happen to be polyamorous, that seems like it's gonna work well for you. My current relationship's having real needs and demands. Insecure me, looking at a new relationship. Posted with a caption of, look, I'm working on it, okay? Because recognizing that you need to work on something is kind of the first step. Because if you're not aware it's a problem, like if you just want to be like, oh no, that's just my personality, that's what I'm like, and just like not being able to work on yourself, or like not being willing to work on yourself, or even like admit that you kind of have issues, not a first step. But knowing that you have an issue is a first step, because if you made that first step, you're not going to leave it at that. You're not just going to be like, no, I'm just going to start a new relationship every 3 months because it got too real. Once you realize that that's what you're doing, or once you recognize why you're doing it, that you're kind of just not great at like communicating your needs maybe, or that you're not great at responding to other people's needs, you know. But like once you kind of start to pick that apart, I think you can work on it and have your relationships be more fulfilling to all the parties involved, probably. This reminds me of my polycule. When 2 others in your class are neurodivergent too, let's all be friends. Or let's all be more than friends in this case. But yeah, I mean, queer people flock together, and neurodivergent people seem to flock together. So it kind of makes sense that queer neurodivergent people flock together even more. So I'm glad you found each other and can support each other. Being poly means that this year I know 2 men that are getting gray sweatpants for Christmas. Is that... Listen, I'm awful at gift shopping. This would probably be kind of hellish for me, really. But if you know your 2 partners have like very similar taste, I know you're probably just doing this for you, really. But you wouldn't do this if you know your partners wouldn't wear them, So, yeah. But it must be great if you have like very similar tastes, or maybe you really love gift shopping, unlike me, and are like super creative when it comes to it and are happy with it. I would cry. I would literally just cry. Me, when I can't see my partners. You could probably post this on a lot of queer subreddits because like lesbian yearning is a thing, right? Like lesbians, as soon as are like not with a partner for 5 minutes, it's already sad to them. And as much as I don't understand this culture, because for context, I'm kind of aro ace, I don't really understand it, but I find it way cuter and way more wholesome and actually way more understandable, even though that's not my experience, than the whole straight hating your partner thing. Because as an aro ace person, even when I did date, because I was like, well, I might as well try, right? Maybe I'm just like reading into it because I like gaslighting myself. Even then, I could never like hate my partner. So that I don't find understandable. Missing your partner seems more logical somehow. Why settle for 1 when you can have 2? Again, you could also post this to like bisexual memes or something, because yeah, I know none of us really chose any of this. Like, we didn't choose our sexual orientation. We didn't choose to be polyamorous. We didn't choose to be not monogamous. We didn't choose anything really, but still, if you are gonna be attracted to people, why limit yourself? Like, shouldn't more love and more huggies be better? Really? Mattress dimensions and bed sizes. This should be included in the Helpful Hints poly pamphlet. I feel like it really should be, because especially if you're like in a kind of polycule that all want to live together and all want to have the option to share a bed, you might want to get a bag big enough so you don't completely toast each other all night. Because cuddles are great, but a lot of people get too warm while sleeping, so having enough space, kind of important. Translate this sentence. My boyfriend is Chinese and my girlfriend is Japanese. Listen, you can say what you want about Duolingo, right? Because a lot of people come for it for not being that effective at learning a language. But at least Duo is supportive, right? We love people and apps that are supportive of our queer friends or ourselves, because yeah, like if you're bisexual and polyamorous, then this might be a situation you're in, My boyfriend's me sick, making me soup and holding me. This is like another thing. That's why polyamory also just makes sense, because there's this whole saying that it takes a village to raise a child, right? But even if you don't have a child, having a strong community around you generally is something we should strive for. And if like a part of your community is several partners who like regularly check in on you, who are able to take care of you when you're sick or just like not feeling well mentally, or who like can literally just support each other through all things, it makes sense logically. Like, I know we can't really logic our way out of orientation, right? But it just makes a lot of sense, really. Polyamorous mental gymnastics. I love multiple people without losing love for others. Okay, just walking straight, great gymnastic routine. Double tap mental gymnastics. I love this person, but I also like this person. So I have to give up one of them to prove my love for the other. Again, this whole oh, well, if you really loved the first person, you wouldn't have fallen for a second person. Again, never made sense to me. I mean, turns out in my case, it's because I don't feel that kind of way about anyone. And that's why it didn't make sense, because I can like several people, because yeah, I can, but not in that way, because I can't like anyone that way, you know? But still, if you actually feel like you love multiple people and like you have like a crush or want to date several people, honestly, as long as everyone involved knows about it and is fine with it, I don't see the issue. I actually think it might be less painful for you than just like forcing yourself to pick and then constantly worrying if you made the right decision, you know? Polysaturated me, another cutie in need of love. Okay, listen, that's kind of the point of polyamory, right? Is that you don't have to constantly be there for everyone. And if you know you don't have any more energy or time to give to another person, let someone else give this person love. You know, it's okay. You can share that responsibility with other people. You know, like not everyone is your responsibility. I know it's difficult, and I know you probably want to, but you know realistically when you don't have any more time or energy to give, really. There's plenty more fish in the sea. Other people. Picking out one. Okay, me. Okay. Time for a sweep. Just kind of like spread my, I was gonna say wings, but I guess spread your net to see what kind of connections you find. Because, again, that's kind of a thing that makes sense to me about polyamory. It's just like meeting people and not like trying to immediately force it into like either this direction to be like, oh no, we're just gonna be friends, or in this direction, oh no, we're gonna date. Because that also seems weird to me. You know, so just kind of like spreading your net and just kind of like scooping up a couple of fish and like see where it's going kind of seems fair.
I used to be polyamorous, bisexual, and single. I had literally every single option in the entire world, and I still messed it up. I still was single. Do you know how embarrassing it is to like be on a first date with someone? And this happened to me multiple times where I was like, hey, just so you know, I'm like polyamorous, and they're like, oh my god, me too, this is my partner and this is my partner, and they'd show me pictures of them, and they'd be like, oh my god, what are your partners' names? And I'd be like, I'm working towards it, you know. I've been sending out a lot of like job applications. I've gotten some bites back on Hinge and on my TikTok comments from old men who are willing to leave their wives for me, but other than that, I haven't been having many, you know. Maybe you could put in a good word for me with your other partners and we could get something going. But as for right now, you know, I'm still taking applications.
I guess some people would kind of see it as a red flag, you know, but I think maybe you just really had bad luck. Because I think, especially as a polyamorous person, I think it's very easy to meet people who either just say, oh, yeah, no, I think that's okay with me. Like, I'm monogamous, but that's okay with me. And then just like end up not being okay with it, so it ends. Or just like straight up not wanting to date you because you're polyamorous. You know, I think it might not be easy. And I think you might really just have had bad luck. I hope you have better luck in the future, you know? Why do people want to throw the whole, oh, you're just selfish, at literally a lot of people? Like, that's like people's go-to argument. For poly people, for like bisexual or pansexual people or omnisexual, for people who don't want kids. Why is that the first thing people's mind goes to? To be like, oh, in that case, oh, you're an adult in consensual relationships with other adults? Now that's a bit selfish. As if it's selfish to respect yourself and how you want to live relationships, really. I think it would be more selfish to make yourself miserable and therefore also your partner by forcing yourself to be monogamous, and to like constantly shame yourself in your head because you feel the need to date other people, or like you are just open to dating other people, but then you can't because you're forcing yourself to be monogamous. Like, that would be more selfish and incredibly stupid, because you would make yourself more miserable than your partner probably, but still you'd be lying to your partner as well, and that's just more selfish, really. Why? Just, if you don't want to be polyamorous, no one's saying you have to be. You can just be in a monogamous relationship. And if it's not working, blame it on something else. Don't blame poly people. They didn't do anything to your relationship. Well, I think you figure out where to start at some point because you somehow got to that point later, But do something to make your past self proud. It doesn't have to be something big like this, because something like, oh, you're dating your like type of woman and you're dating like two of them, kind of a big step, like, not gonna happen overnight probably, but doing stuff to make your old self surprised but also proud is kind of a good life goal, really. Again, that's not polyamory. That's being a cheater. And as impressed as I am if it's like actually 10 or 20 people, because how do you keep that shit up? I'm impressed, but in a horrified way, really. Like, that's a really shitty thing to do. But I couldn't keep my story straight. I couldn't keep like explaining where I was, what I do with all my time. Like, I couldn't. I mean, you shouldn't, even if you can do it, obviously, but I'm still kind of impressed and grossed out at the same time, really. But it throws a bad light on polyamory, even though it has like nothing to do with polyamory. And I hope the people you're trying to explain why polyamory isn't a bad thing to actually listen and recognize that cheating is not the same thing, and in fact has nothing to do with polyamory.
I just realized something. I had a bad childhood.
Yeah, I know.
What do you mean you know?
Look at you.
What do you mean look at me?
Look at how you stand. People who had good childhoods don't stand like that.
Okay, I know I'm probably making y'all think I'm poly too, because I used to kind of like think the same thing, to be like, well, no, I'd be okay with my partner sleeping with someone else. I'd want to know first, right? Like, I wouldn't want it to be some weird person. I wouldn't want them to catch something and transmit it to me or something. Like, but again, kind of just the opposite end of the spectrum, really, of not wanting to date anyone. I used to kind of question whether I was maybe really just polyamorous, but then I don't even feel that comfortable being in a relationship with one person. Like, it would not be better dating several people, but I can see how usually if you think something like this, you would probably maybe really just be polyamorous and just be like, no, I'd be okay with my partner loving someone else because they also love me, obviously, but I did kind of think the same thing.
Polyamory doesn't necessarily mean that you're like constantly looking to be with multiple people. I think it's more just that you share in the belief that you can love more than one person at a time, and that it's a good thing and it doesn't like take from each other. You know what I mean? Like, doesn't necessarily mean you're out like looking all the time like, but I need 2 in order to be polyamorous. Like,
Oh shit, better fill my quota.
yeah, exactly.
I think this might be one of the things that probably people who are like new to polyamory, or people are just like learning about polyamory without actually being it themselves, kind of struggle with, to be like, but what do you mean you're single or you're just dating one person? Doesn't that mean you're monogamous? It's not really how it works. I mean, just like how being bisexual isn't dependent on your relationship status, neither is polyamory, but people already struggle with bisexuality in that sense, so it kind of makes sense that people would kind of want to apply the same rules to polyamorous people.
What are some ways that you've been able to manage feelings of jealousy in your relationships and truly finding compersion?
First and foremost, there is nothing wrong with you for feeling jealous. It is a very human thing. Next, jealousy is very rarely, if ever, by itself. Jealousy exists in accompaniment with other feelings like anger, sadness, loneliness, anxiety. First, it's normal. Second, it's probably not by itself. And third, can we allow ourselves enough time, space, and resources to get curious about what is underneath and also what triggered it? Is the jealousy trying to tell me something? We talked a little bit about this last time, that sometimes it can point you in the direction of getting closer towards your desires. A really fascinating part of polyamory, at least for me, is the way that it encourages me to move away from trying to be the best. Is it enough to just be like really good, right? Do I matter to you? Do you care about my needs? Are you committed to supporting me? Can I count on you? And do I feel like you value me? So when I'm feeling jealous, maybe I'm gonna like think about these questions and be like, okay, the jealousy is triggering my abandonment, but I'm hearing you say that I matter to you and that you value me. Does that information and that affirmation help to soothe my anxiety? And am I able to soothe my anxiety based on external validation and affirmation from someone else? And am I also able to rely on my own internal landscape and knowledge and experiences to be able to also soothe myself from time to time?
Yeah, this is also like one of the things that people say of like, oh, I could never be polyamorous, like I'm too jealous. Like jealous or jealousy in and of itself is kind of a normal thing, but it's not something I would go around flexing, because while it can be like a helpful guide to, oh, I would like to receive more attention from my partner, like I feel like they're not valuing me because maybe they just show it in a different way than you're used to, and then you can just like get in touch with your partner, like communicate about it, you know. But kind of people being like overtly jealous also seems kind of strange to me. But that's maybe also just because I never understood it really. Like I kind of understand envy, but I don't get jealous because I'm, you know, so maybe it's really just because I don't understand. I'm probably not the person to speak on that. Anyways, that was all the memes and TikToks I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed them. Kind of ended a little bit longer than I meant to, but oh well. I hope you enjoyed them. I hope you hydrated. If not, maybe go drink something now and remind your partner or partners to stay hydrated as well, because we all know queer people are good at forgetting, and no, maybe iced coffee shouldn't be the only thing you drink today. You know, so maybe some water would be great. I think your body would appreciate it, you know. Anyways, I'll see you in my next video in a few days.